After that, unless you are giving no, asking a question or giving some information, you can mute your mic.
Okay.
And
Yep.
Thank you very much. And we will be good. So that's the link. That's the link that we need. I'm giving you guys that link on chat. Here is the chat. Okay. It's all yours. And you don't have to confirm. Just speak up when it is something that you want to communicate.
Okay, sure.
Other than you can mute mic. Right. So that is the link. Now I have to say honestly, don't say yeah, but instead mute the mic. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Okay, that is the outline of what we're going to talk about. And for those people who are new, we're talking about some interesting things in AI, and I'm giving my own opinion, my perspective. Oh, please don't say anymore, but instead mute the mic, okay?
Yep.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll somehow know who is talking. I'm sure there is a way.
I think today participants may be less, maybe due to Good Friday or something like that.
Okay. Now I found the mute button and I am taking the liberty of muting those people.
And looks like another thing is there is an issue with the Zoom link in the meetup.
1 second. Yeah, that's valid. Okay, the account. Now, what I gave you is this. So if I take that and I try to open it in another browser right here, then it does open for me. It goes through the Bitly. So if we have that problem, then I can give you the full link right here. Just in case, I'm going to chat. And I'm saying here's a full link. There you are. So either or, but you should be able to click and then your anonymous little picture, be it a rabbit, crocodile, or a snake, or anything else, will show up here. All right. And that way you will have access, read access to this. Now, today is March 29. It's 12 p.m. Central, and that's what we're going to cover. Usually that comes up either I read something interesting this week, or you suggest something in our sense. Excuse me?
I think he may be on the phone or something.
Yes. So at the risk of being impolite, I muted everybody who was unmuted. By the way, I also took the chance to allow people to talk. And if you ask me, what's the point of allowing to talk? Then you mute people, but that's only for those who accidentally make their sound. Okay, here. So that is either from your suggestions, so keep your suggestions coming, or it is something that I read. And what we're going to do is, you guys came up with the question, can we do real-time AI? Real-time AI or real-time, you can phrase it in a different way, real-time LLM inference. And I said, well, probably you're talking about Kafka. So let's look at what is possible with that. And I will not, I will right away tell you all the answer. I think it doesn't exist. I found quite a lot of approaches or blog posts or what they call Medium. No, I don't think any of that is real. That's what I will cover. So even if the answer is negative, but sometimes a negative answer is also a good thing, and that's what I will do. The next step is if you have not heard this podcast, it's Sam Altman with Lex Friedman, and that's round 2 because it is the second time that he is there. And as you saw, it is also, what, 1 hour and 55 minutes. I'll give you the short summary. You don't have to listen, and the short summary will be very short. I will tell you right away. The next thing that we will talk about is, well, can you do that same thing with JavaScript? And we'll start there. And then finally, I'll tell you a little update about the Sky program because it's really growing and it's really bringing benefit to the people. Now, last time I couldn't even show. This time I should be able to show, so I'll show you that. And that's here. Okay, now that I said what we're going to do, here is the very first one. Now, I found that on Medium, and for that, I even had to subscribe. Well, honestly, it wasn't worth it, in my opinion. So it's here. Yeah, I printed it to PDF so that you can have it without the subscription. And here it is. I just want to show you that you can download it. So if you
are sharing the wrong screen.
Mark,
yes.
Mark, we see your Teams channel, not the document that you are referring to.
Maybe I'm not sharing the right way. Stop share.
Yeah.
And then share screen. And then share the desktop.
Yeah, now we see the Apache Kafka as a mission critical data.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for telling me. And I'll check whatever you were saying on. Okay. I like Nick is saying the Lex Friedman postcat is the best. Well, we'll come to that. We'll perhaps agree or disagree on that. Okay, but thank you for telling me about the screen sharing that it didn't work. All right, that's one title that looks promising. Apache Kafka as mission critical data fabric for Gen AI. Sounds too good to be true, and it is too good to be true. So what he does is first put a nice picture and then describe everything that everybody already knows. Generative AI, you see, lots of definitions that are, I think ChatGPT could write a better article. And then about Kafka and what does it do. So he says, well, I asked ChatGPT, what is Apache Kafka? And then he quotes what it is. In the end, what you're trying to do is simply, Kafka was a writer who wrote a lot, and that's why the name. And Kafka streams the data. And AI, it answers questions. So the idea is pretty simple. That's why we decided to investigate this. So a nice diagram that shows you can use any language. I'm sorry to bash it so much, but that bashing, it will apply to all other articles, so I won't have to repeat it. So what the diagram shows is you have the stream of data, and he doesn't even show the LLM, but then LLM will come in. TensorFlow has nothing to do with it, but in the end, somewhere LLM will be here. All right, sorry. So my opinion is that that is just non-existing product, non-existing idea. And he says, I know so much. You should read all my articles. That is the first conclusion. So I'm closing that and looking at other attempts. And the biggest problem is simple. You can organize your data, you can stream your data, You can also ask LLM, but LLM is well known to have a very long response time, much more than is needed for even a natural language conversation. So if you look at the best LLM, if you just go to ChatGPT, okay, and ask a question. What is the meaning of life? But we don't know anything better to ask. So, well, it takes it some time to think. Then it begins to type, and it types slowly, as you can see. Kind of a famous joke about lawyers. He charges, I don't know, $200 per hour, and he types or writes very slow. Well, how do you overcome that? At that speed, you can't even conduct a natural language conversation, and that's why robots don't work. The answer is that the second you receive the first part of the result, you start streaming it. That is good enough for fooling me as a reader who says that he thinks it's real time. But that's not good enough if we're going to the original idea of Kafka, being a streamer, able to stream thousands and tens of thousands and more elements of data. How can you ask LLM about that? That really will require some very sophisticated approach. And honestly, I haven't started thinking of that because you need a use case. So yes, okay, maybe I can stream Kafka. Here's the next example. And again, that comes with some, oh, that's the same. Let's look at the next one. On LinkedIn. Streaming Kafka, all the good keywords, but this Vincent Granville, my personal opinion, is searching engine optimization. He doesn't know anything about anything, even though he has a website and Gen All Tech Lab and Chief A Scientist, but I think it's nothing. Now, here we see join the webinar, and it's an invitation to a webinar. I think that's all. All right, so conclusion. Today, it doesn't exist, even though some of these articles mention that it would be great. Let's say Uber or the rental, whatever you use to rent a place for visiting instead of the hotel. Yes, they all need that kind of thing, but I don't think anybody has implemented that. Conclusion right now doesn't exist. AI implementation with real time and at big volume, that's a thing of the future. That is, yes, okay, now I'm open to questions.
Mark, could I chip in? So I happened to
Please.
attend a presentation from, I think, an evangelist of Apache Pinio yesterday. It's basically, he was saying that it is a real-time analytics data store. Very interesting presentation. He was kind of comparing it to, like, things like Crystal Reports, which he said was, batch mode, internally facing. Datadog is real time, but again, internally facing. But if you needed something that is fast and also externally facing, among the stream of different products, he said Apache Pinio is basically also one of them. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, not at all. But thank you very much for bringing that. What I will do is I will copy that and I will put it into the plans for the next week right here and start collecting it. That's wonderful. Yes.
So he also mentioned 2 or 3 other products if you are interested in kind of comparing. He mentioned Druid, Mark, D-R-U-I-D. He also mentioned ClickHouse and then Rockset,
Well,
R-O-C-K-S-E-T.
so what you showed is this, as a product. If you want to give the link to his presentation, that's even better.
I will try to pull it up, but
Well, yeah.
yeah, I don't know if they have shared the recording. but I will
Okay,
share
if
it.
not, I'll try. You can also send the links on all the other comparisons. By the way, I say something that I actually plan to do and also have done it. So when we come to that place, and that will be right here. Also, I should mention that I have a prototype of something actually working with the Spark. Well, it's my secret how I did it, so I don't tell people. Okay, good. Thank you very much. That's what I expected you guys to do, helping me by correcting my mistake. If I don't know about something, that's great. Wonderful. And you tell me. Well, still, tentative conclusion for today, no such thing, but it may be corrected next week. All right, the next one. Here is this 2-hour presentation. And just a very short, first they talk about half an hour about the boardroom drama, like they tried to take him out of OpenAI and what emotional effect it had on him. And they spent some time on discussing how Sam Altman was first upset and he thought it's a good thing, then he was upset again. And the real one interesting thing that was mentioned was this. They are working on GPT-5, or they may not call it GPT-5, they may still call it GPT-4, but one of the very important news is that it will have not like 1028 tokens. So right now, you talk to ChatGPT. Here I am talking to ChatGPT. And here I am, one token, one word. But I can give it more, right? I can even give it a PDF. So let's see if I have any PDF here on the desktop. All right, I'm giving it its own. And that contains up to 300 pages. I believe that's the current limit. So 300 pages will be in the under 128 words, or really the term is not words but tokens. And now I can say summarize the article. Okay. Now, it has surely read the article. And it can, by the way, impressive, quick, and summarizes. Now, the summarization is doubtful because they themselves say that it's kind of to really check summarization, you need to read a book, and who reads books today? That's the argument that I was very impressed with. I read books, and I even think that it's very important occupation. But the thinking, as far as technology, kind of works, right? Well, they are raising that limit. Instead of having that limit being at 128,000, and that's already pretty good, right? You need to give it background information. That's what I'm doing. Just asking hello is not enough. I also want to give it specific information, and usually that is your own private data. But your own private data might be very voluminous, and they are raising that limit. Okay, here they are raising that limit to, I think, a few million. That's really very important because once that's there, then I can give it all the information. Right now, everybody is talking about RAG. And I will show you what is RAG. We know RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And it's just a way for me to do a quick search in my vector database, find documents that are relevant, and then present ChatGPT with just the relevant documents. And then it will give me the answer. All right. Well, that whole story about every world, the whole world, everybody in the world being RAGs, will just disappear. That is the faith of RAG as a term, because what are we doing? When we're using reg, we are taking all of our documents, converting them to vectors, and then querying a vector database for things that are similar in meaning. Well, that's very old 2013 technology invented by Thomas Mikolov, and it really doesn't jive with ChatGPT, which is 2023 technology. It's just that everybody is, well, there's nothing better than that. And everybody by now, when they explain, like even that JavaScript introduction, JavaScript reg introduction says, well, that's what you have to do. There is no other way. Yes, there is no other way until the next version of ChatGPT comes. And then you will be able to use the real technology. That's not only the numbers. The numbers are that I cannot load really all the documents that I want, so I need to first select. The problem with technology. ChatGPT really understands which documents are correct, which are not, but the 2013 Thomas Mikolov vector databases do not understand. So there is a lecture, by the way, I should tell you that that's a useful list, because whatever was mentioned, you can search, like Microsoft, was it ever mentioned? Here it is. Or you can also look in the webinar folder, which has all of the related documents, or learning path. So here's the learning path that I collect, and it is pretty much the same as what Andrew Ng gives in his list, because he published about 20, 30 different courses, all free. The last is the one that I will show you. And here you are. If I open that, then it turns out that that is a complete list of his courses. There you go, complete list of his courses. And that's the latest. We're going to look at it. Quite impressive, right? That's what I have. And one of them talks about how you can overcome the problems of reg architecture. Yes, that's what I wanted to come to, that yes, everybody's talking about the reg architecture. The GPT-5 will kill this reg architecture because you will not have to first go to the old technology search and then do the real thing. That's in the future. But right now, you use reg, and in this list of courses that you could potentially take, there are some improvements, and they show you how it is not good at finding the really relevant documents because it doesn't understand them. But that's what you can do. All right. So at this point, I will stop, look at the comments, try to answer them, and then we will continue. Okay, so that is with the Flink, the same thing but with Flink, and I will do that. I will copy that, and add it here, and we will look at it next time. Honestly, I just showed this guy Kai Wenner. Okay, I showed that his Kafka was just a search engine optimization, but yes, Ashley, you want your camera on? Yes, but for that I don't know if you need to have any permission. Okay, and also mentioned, so I'll put Mahesh, thank you. I'll put these here in the list of things to look at right here. These were useful additions. Thank you very much. Now, by the way, before I allow you to say something, Nick, Lex Friedman podcast is the best. Yes, they are in general very good. That particular one, have you listened to it? Because it's an empty 2 hours of empty talk. And I told you the only new thing there is the GPT-5 with the increased limit of question. Okay, you're free to argue with me, but what's the point of not being honest? Okay, now I'm silent, as I promised.
Yeah, so regarding that real-time discussion, so what you are saying is, as of now, there are no existing applications on that, right?
Well, almost that. I was saying I don't see any existing applications described in literature. However, I'm working on one. So I will offer you my ideas.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. A link to the PDF. John asks for the link. Which link? Okay. PDF of what? Okay, you will tell me. All right, let's continue. Share the screen again, and let's look at something that is not negative, but positive. Here it is, JavaScript reg. Well, for that, I'll tell you what I did. I usually go there. Let's open. Let me stop sharing, and let me reshare with the sound now. Okay, now we will hear. So I think it's worth to listen to the first 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 22 seconds, and we will...
Welcome to JavaScript RAG Web Apps with Llama Index, built in partnership with Llama Index. I'm joined by Laurie Voss, VP of Developer Relations at Llama Index and the instructor for this course.
Thanks, Andrew. I'm super jazzed to be here with you and to teach this course.
RAG applications are in very high demand across multiple businesses right now. It's one of the most common things I hear people wanting to build on top of LLMs. In this course, you learn the deep technical details behind how you can build a full-stack RAG web application, including how to set up your backend and front-end workflow in JavaScript. This course uses JavaScript, but if you're familiar with coding, but just not the JavaScript language, you'll still be able to follow along.
In parallel, you will learn step-by-step how to build a full-stack web application. You will start by building a backend web API and learn how it gets called and how to integrate Llama Index into that API. Then you will build an interactive front-end component in React that calls your API and displays the responses to your queries.
In one of the lessons, lesson 3, you also dig further into RAG techniques by building an intelligent agent that's capable of selecting between multiple data sources and of using functions as tools to take action to gather information. This is a very powerful technique that can be used to create highly flexible, highly capable software. You also dive into production-ready techniques for your web app, where you learn how to persist your data and how to load it again, so you aren't constantly re-indexing your data. Then you move from simple one-off queries to ongoing chat and switch from waiting for answers to getting real-time responses with streaming. Laurie will go through these concepts in detail, and he'll also show you how to set up the Create Llama command line tool from Llama Index that generates full-stack web app templates and helps you get all this into production. Many people have worked to create this course. I like to...
Okay, 2 minutes, not 2:25. All right, and we heard the most important thing. The whole world is being RAG, built in RAGs, and as I told you, that will all go away. I hope pretty soon, because OpenAI goes at fast enough speed that should be GPT-5. They don't give any dates, but it should be within half a year, my estimate. Okay. Then what you do is you go to lecture after lecture, because that's all very enticing and promising. And it says that if you are familiar with coding, which I am, not with JavaScript, which really I'm not, and you see the regular notepad, notebook, and then you can click on that and download it as a notebook. Wonderful. That's a great first step. Here it is in that download folder, because what I'm showing you usually is my attempt at running that. Of course, you can run it in the environment, but you want to do this. And when you do this, you realize that that's something unusual, at least for me, going on, because that looks like a notebook, a Jupyter notebook. Step number 1, I ran it. Okay, here. Step number 2, I ran this one. Step number 3, I cannot run the third one. Like that. Well, I can run it in their environment, but I cannot run it in mine. Well, not to be just words, I want to show how I usually do it. So here I am, I go into the project, and it is a story told in my open labs, and then I just activate the right on the environment and start. Okay, Jupyter Lab. Okay, so that's how we usually start. That is familiar to even I know how to do it, but that is my attempt to run that. And first step runs, second one doesn't. Then I realized, look, this is JavaScript. I should change the execution engine. Well, I go there, I change it from Python to JavaScript, and it still doesn't work. That means that right now, and by the way, they skip those pesky little details, you can run it here, and it will be a regular architecture. As far as running it in your environment, I asked my friends, I asked ChatGPT, no is a solution. I really want a no place to ask questions. So maybe you guys, maybe you know how to run JavaScript in Notebook, in Python Notebook. Meanwhile, we can look at what it does. And it uses a vector store index. So in other words, a regular reg architecture. You store your documents in some kind of vector store. You recognize these by their names from documents in what other libraries used in order to build. So first thing that he does is grab the documents. Those documents are, I believe, created somewhere. It must be created. Here you are. You grab all the data from the data. Now, if you don't have the data, that you can cure by saying file, open, and there is the data. Let's see what's inside. Just one text. So I can easily download that, put it into my environment. That curable. As far as running that, I still honestly don't know. Now I see some chat here, and maybe it looks like he's trying to import TypeScript module, not JavaScript. Well, it's close. Yes, Lawrence. Yes, it is TypeScript, which I think is a typed JavaScript, but neither works in Python. So of course, I'll figure it out by next week. So what I will do is do this. And make it work. Here. But make it work. I didn't go too far because after all, I'm not using JavaScript. But it's enticing because if you do JavaScript, you write your front end in JavaScript, you write your back end in JavaScript. And of course, you need to investigate what is this Llama index. The company that sponsors the course or that really created the course for Andrew Ng is called Llama index. So it sounds like that's using Llama. And yeah, Llama is a local model. That's one of the steps that I need to do urgently. So it's interesting. It's regular architecture with JavaScript and with the JavaScript advantages, and that is very quick responses. That's what we really want. We started from Kafka, so maybe that would help. But first of all, we need to put this technology under our belt. So it's a regular architecture. He says getting started, and he really just grabs all the data, then builds an index somewhere, and then it's a prompt and an answer. So far, so good. Maybe not a complete promised because I promised you everything here, but some of that will come next week. Nevertheless, I will pause here. I don't see any question that I need to answer immediately. So I'll go to the next one, Sky. What is Sky? Sky is my own name. It means nothing. It is a way to run my own engine. I call it Freed. That does this. It is converting your data into searchable data plus AI questionable data. Last time it didn't work because something stopped. I moved it all to Azure, and I think I'm kind of in one of those machines. As it turns out, you can install RZP on Ubuntu. And that's lovely because previously I would use all kinds of tricks to make it work on open source software, but RZP works just much easier and better. If you want to know how to install it, I'll give you the link. It's found on Microsoft Azure. And before I go with the application, I'll do the demo. So here you are. You see I have a few of those machines, and that is mine. That's the one that I use. So right away comes the whole thing. I'll show you what it is. Then I'll show how you started. What it is a way to process all of your data and then to stick it into the AI. So let's do that. That is an open source free that you can download. Looking inside, that's the first project, and it is containing 3 folders. 3 folders is a lot, so I will say this. Just do one folder, one little folder, a few documents. That's what you need. You need to set up the search. You need to say, yes, prepare search, and then we will look at AI Advisor. But the first thing, okay, I give it the data. So now I'm processing the data by first staging it in one place and then processing like that. So you see the processing progress is not really working, but when it's done, then it is showing that I'm done and I can look at the data already. Here is my review. That's all my projects, all my cases. And every time I process it, it shows the date. That's how I distinguish them. So I wonder what's the time it thinks is now. So I say the date, and now it thinks 7:41. That's pretty much this one. So I'll remove the old ones. That's this one. That's the case. Now I can search in this case. I have only one now. Very nice. If I search on star, I see all these 5 documents. When I search on a specific term, let's say Henry, since we have one participant called Henry, right? No Henry, okay. Well, let's look for John. John might be there. No, wow. Well, we really want to demonstrate that, so we like a technical guy looks for a term and then finds it. Not like how about Enron? Because that's partly an Enron mailbox. The lawyer would do better than my demo. All right, Enron the Denton. Well, that is the search. Old stuff has been there. What we really want to see is the AI, right? So for that, we open the project, go to the AI part, and say index for AI. So this time it says I'm indexing 5 documents. I'm done. I can ask it AI here. I can ask it from here. And I can ask it, but more fun will be the same thing, but in the browser. So here I am in the browser, but I go to AI Advisor. And I say list people who are connected to Android. Let's see. Right. Here are the people who are connected to Enron, and I can query further. And these are the documents that it used to find the answer. Now, that is real link. It shows. But right away, that whole story has one big problem. These are the links that came back from the initial search on the vector database. And as I said, it's an old technology, it doesn't really understand. So yes, it came back, but it's not perfect. Other than that imperfection, it's really using ChatGPT, and it's quite smart. All right, so the reason I showed that is because this is the Skype program that I offered to people. Here's the application. Anybody can apply and get a virtual machine for quite a while. The only thing that I ask is you should be serious. Don't just play with that, but you should tell me what do you want to use it for, and promise that you are going to really use it. That's funny, right? Instead of asking you to do anything else, I'm just asking, be sure that you know why you're doing this and do that. That is the program, and indeed, people come. So that's what I couldn't show last time, and that's what I showed today. I don't see any chat. And the last thing is potential approach to a lot of data and search. So in my thread, the one that I was showing you in here, I can, when I'm processing, I can change the processing engine from standard to what I call Piranha. That is prototype but not productized. Piranha settings is the Spark where it is. So Spark has to be installed. If it is installed, then Piranha will do this. Instead of processing it just by itself, it will send it to every node under Spark. And under Spark, you could have thousands of nodes. That is what will speed it up without any limit. Just spend the money. And that will also be a use case that Spark itself is looking for, because they also have an LLM. They just don't know a good use case for use it, because normally, why would you ask 1,000 documents and ask them the same question? Well, in these areas, I exactly deal with that. Let's say you want to go through all of the police records of all the drunken drivers, and you want to prove that the judge is biased. That's a completely different approach. You don't care about one specific case. You want 450 cases, and you want to ask it, well, was there any drunken driver, or was anybody hurt? And you can process them in Spark and get an answer. So it's not the real-time vertically, but it's real-time horizontally, because you get a lot of questions asked and answered. That's one possible approach to real-time LLM, by scaling horizontally to multiple cases. But it's not perfect, it's not generic. There will be lots of specific problems that you might want to solve connected to AI. And with that, I'm done explaining all that I wanted to explain. And now I see the wonderful reactions. Let's look at that. All right. All right. Wonderful. All the great questions, guys, you see them. So let me answer them. Henry asks here, a little bit the index and IndexedDB implemented in Sky. Yes, it's free, it's open source. It is using, for indexing, it is Java code that sends the data to Solr, and it collects all the answers in one zip file. So it puts the results not in the database, but in individual separate files. After that, there is an AI part. The AI, when I click on index, it goes to that bunch of files. Some of them are extracted texts. I can show you where that extracted text is. So if I go here, well, I'm already here, then show me the output files. That opens in VS Code for some reason, but the report tells you that it processed five files in 4 seconds. That's the metadata that it extracted, and that is the text in zip. So it goes to that zip, finds the folder called text, because that's where all the text is, and then uses that to send to AI, because AI, you need to play tricks if you wanted to process other formats. So since Freed uses Tika, and Tika is 1,400 different formats, then that Freed prepares the data and then it goes into AI. Henry, was that the question that you asked?
It was. Thank you very much. And just a quick question. We certainly respect your opinion. Of course, we can debate different things, but is there a particular reason that you have chosen this particular implementation for your own project?
Great question. Some of it is ad hoc. I know Java and I know something about indexing. That's why the original implementation happened to be a desktop Java application. If I knew some other language better, I would probably do it that way. But thank you for confirming. But it has that particular architecture now, as it turns out, has its own advantages. It's automatically HIPAA compliant and all the other security stuff because it runs on the one virtual machine and doesn't ask for help from any services except for ChatGPT. This is where I will put Llama as an option, and that will be self-contained. So it's just luck, accidental luck that it worked out fun. Well, I had fun writing it, but then it actually became a little useful. Al, when speaking on an Azure rep recently, I talked about Mistral, how it beats Llama, okay? There was a paper that was referenced. Yes, I also saw this, Mistral, how it beats Llama. So I can potentially use the Mistral. I remember that with the Mistral, some of them are open source, some not. And yes, why don't we do it? I mean, that's a good idea. Let's put it here. And next time we talk, we'll discuss it. Now, I don't need that anymore, but here, collecting ideas for our next talk, it is here. Okay, next. So what did Azure representative said? Because, you know, he is not Llama Facebook, he is not Mistral, whatever he said. Is there an architecture diagram that you can review? Yes, there's more than what I explained. And if you go to the open source, so you need to do this. Go to GitHub and search for Freed. It's out there in the open. For me, it shows right away. That's the link. And I'm giving you the link here. But you can also find it. Now, that's a mess, as every open source project, but at least it's something to start. It even has a documentation with some pictures. There you are. Well, it has documentation. Right. He didn't know. Haha, of course. And other questions. You wanted to know how to run comparison in a notebook. If you want to compare different models, I think Hugging Face might be the answer. I think it has enough to compare. They give you lots of things. They give you what they call workspaces. You can use their machines, and if they publish that particular model to Hugging Face, you can run it there. Now, for the benefit of those people who may be not familiar with the Hugging Face, that is the Hugging Face. And let's look for some model of Google Gamma. Okay. So here it is running through. Once upon a time, it's a model that's talking. So you can click compute and there you are, it starts doing it. So Hugging Face is not going away. It has its own niche. And you see how many downloads? It is very active. So let me do this. Let me at least give you that link as a potential answer. Okay, here you are. All right, that's a very lively discussion. I'm honestly very much enjoying it. So thank you very much. I stop sharing. I will be silent for a short while to let you ask questions. But if you don't formulate the questions now, just email them. Email them. I'll try to either put it on the next show or answer in the email. You have my email, but just in case, the easiest way is mark@time.ai. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming and have a great weekend. And I usually like to wish you a great week and then a great year. Be well. All the best.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy Good
Thanks,
Friday,
all.
everyone.
Happy Good Friday.
Great weekend.
And a great weekend.